Welcome to HDTV. You're now rocking with your boy. So it seems like hold on. It seems like when you look at how everything is going, and it just shows you that things in life, how we look at it, we're like, man, I like this, or I like this person, or I want to be like this person. You kind of model yourself after them. But in this case, there's two legit trade suitors emerging for the Cavs' Andre Drummond. Drummond is currently in the final season of a 5-year, $127 million deal. The fact that he is set to become an unrestricted free agent, coupled with the Cleveland Cavaliers' abundance of big men, makes a trade of some sort seem inevitable. So far this year, Drummond is averaging a career-high 19 points per game on 48% shooting from the field, along with 14 rebounds and 1 block per outing. By any objective measure, this is the best time to move him. Currently, there are two realistic trade suitors for Drummond's services. According to Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, the Toronto Raptors are intrigued by the prospect of adding Drummond. Drummond is the biggest name, he wrote. Drummond will be an unrestricted free agent this offseason and had an extremely limited trade market 1 year ago when the Pistons dealt him to Cleveland. The Raptors are among the teams interested in Drummond now, league sources says. This past offseason, Toronto added Aaron Baines and Alex Len after losing Marc Gasol to the Lakers and then Serge Ibaka over their handling of Gasol. Len washed out immediately, ultimately getting waived a few weeks back. Baines stuck around, but he is averaging a mere 5 points per game while shooting 40% from the field. Not exactly all-star level production down low. It's easy to see what the Raptors find appealing about Drummond. He would be an immediate upgrade on offense without even trying it, and he also does a lot to fix the team on defense. Toronto presently ranks 17th in defensive rating and is 29th in defensive rebounding. If not the Raptors, since they're more focused on trading Kyle Lowry and kicking the tires on Lonzo Ball at the moment. The Brooklyn Nets have also been linked to Drummond over the past few weeks. ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski discussed how feasible of an option they were during a recent TV spot. There's a natural fit out there with Andre Drummond in Cleveland, he said. Now he's the final year of the deal at $28 million, and Cleveland future is clearly with Jared Allen, who came from the Nets in that 14 trade. It's difficult for Brooklyn to put the pieces together to make a trade given Drummond's salary. I'm told that he's not necessarily interested in a contract buyout before the trade deadline, which is March 25th, but he could be in play potentially with a buyout after that date as the Cavs don't find a trade for him in the interim. But one interesting trade piece for the Nets is Spencer Dinwiddie, who was lost for the season with that ACL injury. Drummond would quickly fix what head coach Steve Nash has deemed as the Nets' one major weakness. One way or another, it is becoming increasingly clear that Drummond's time in Cleveland will soon come to an end. Where will he ultimately end up? An answer should emerge at some point in the next few weeks. Now, Drummond, the story I was trying to say in the beginning, basically, is that you grow up wanting to be a certain player, a certain person. Some people model their game after others. Some try to be as good as others or try to learn how they did it and try to do opposite of that while adding some of their stuff to their repertoire. Andre Drummond has always been a lazy guy. a lazy guy. In Detroit, he was okay. I mean, but it's just that he just didn't have that umph. And then he went to Cleveland. He got a little better. The Raptors, to me, have the pieces to trade for Drummond more than the Nets do. The Nets, I don't really see the Nets able to trade anybody. They don't really have anybody there to really trade. And, no disrespect. It's just they should have never got rid of Jared Allen, but they needed to get Harden over there, which they really didn't need Harden to me. But they wanted to try to keep Harden from going to the Philadelphia Sixers, because if he'd have gone to the Sixers, it was a done data. So to me, Drummond would fit with both teams perfectly. The Raptors, with him there, you'll be able to give help to Boucher and Pascal and them on the front line to get rebounds, and then Baines could come off the bench, because Baines really a bench player. But I don't know if they have the pieces or they have the type of team they could trade, but they got a lot of assets. I just don't know who they would trade. They most likely will trade Lowry. They'll trade a couple other pieces, but they're going to keep Pascal. Excuse me. And they're going to keep Van Fleet. The Nets, they don't really have anybody, really. They would have to wait for him to get bought out. If he does get bought out, he could go to the Nets. But don't be surprised if the Lakers swoop in, because the Lakers are looking for a guy down low, looking for a big man, especially one of his talents. That would be must see if they can have that happen. Also, a big trade is brewing between the Spurs and Jazz. The Utah Jazz are 18-5 and currently boast the best record in the West. On the other side of the playoff picture, the Spurs are 12-10 and tied for 7th place. Although both teams could obviously sit still, ride it out with their current rosters and see where it gets them, that probably isn't the best move in this situation. DemarDeRozan is in the final year of a deal. He becomes a free agent after this season, and the Spurs will likely lose him for nothing if they don't trade him this year. Utah, meanwhile, arguably the best team in the NBA right now, possesses a very glaring weakness. It sits dead last in isolation scoring. The Jazz clearly need someone who can get the ball, go one-on-one, and score in a variety of ways. This week, Greg Swartz of Bleacher Report proposed a deal that could make both the Spurs and Jazz noticeably better long term. The trade in question would involve DeRozan being shipped off to Utah in return for some combination of sharpshooters, Bojan Bogdanovic, and spare parts. Bogdanovic has been on a very nice run over the past 5 games, posting scoring outputs of 32, 29, 18, 21, and 31 points. His value has never been higher, so this potential deal has clear upside for both parties involved. DeRozan has long been one of the game's best one-on-one players and is tied for 8th this season with Luka Doncic at 4 isolation points per game, Swartz wrote. Hold on, that's something else. Not only does that dwarf the entire Jazz team, but DeRozan is also doing it on strong efficiency, 1.21 points per possession. The 31-year-old is averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal while shooting a career-high 36% from 3. If Utah can move Bojan Bogdanovic, salary filler, and picks to the San Antonio Spurs, the starting lineup of Conley, Mitchell, Mike Conley Jr., Mitchell, DeRozan, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert would be one of the NBA's best. As things currently stand, the Jazz and Spurs are both having fairly nice campaigns. That said, neither team can contend for a title as presently constructed. In order to fix that, big moves need to be made, and a trade centering around DeRozan would be an excellent start. DeRozan has made headlines over the past year for scaring away Kylie Jenner's stalker and getting brutally honest about Kawhi Leonard it'd be nice if he finally earned a bit of acclaim for something like winning that elusive championship that has been on the verge of getting since his days with the Toronto Raptors. I disagree. I would not trade for DeRozan because DeRozan is a great regular season player. Him and Paul George have this glaring weakness. When they get to the playoffs, they become small. I mean, smaller than Frodo. They're really small when it comes to the playoffs, and this would be a bad deal. The Jazz, if I were them, I would not trade Bojan Bogdanovic. Their team is fine. The thing is, Donovan Mitchell is becoming a superstar in front of our eyes. This guy has been balling. And then Jordan Clarkson off the bench. That's what's been great. Clarkson off the bench. To me, they just need to keep at it. They need to add, I believe, another scorer. And they'll be fine because defensively, they're pretty good. Utah's pretty good in defense. I haven't really watched them a lot this year, but from the games I've watched, they've been fine to me. They have a complete team. They have a starting five. They have a six-man in Clarkson and a couple guys off the bench. And I just don't see them getting rid of anything. To me, you don't want to end up like the Denver Nuggets who got rid of Jeremy Grant. You don't want to get rid of Bogdanovic because he brings it. Because then you got Ingles coming off the bench helping with that scoring. So you're fine. You don't need a lot of isolation plays to win. All you have to do to beat the Lakers is move the ball and play defense and sustain the BS calls that's going to come with LeBrownies. That's it. And you'll beat the Lakers. That's it. Just keep it nip and tuck, and then when the fourth quarter comes, put pressure on him. Because LeBron is going to blow his whole load in the beginning of the fourth quarter. When he get 5 minutes or less down, he's going to choke. You don't need DeRozan, or I like to call him dechokeden. Dechokeden is not going to help you with anything. Lazy Drummond, to me, would be a great fit in Brooklyn. The Raptors, he would fit well. Now the Lakers, if he goes to the Lakers are winning the championship easy. If he goes there, because he would take the pressure off of AD and LeBron. He can get all the rebounds, box out, and he'll be that rim protector guy. So let me know in the comment section, what do you feel? Where do you think Drummond should go? Let me know. Also, do you feel DeRozan for Bogdanovic would be a good trade, bad trade, or a big fat hell to the no? Thank you for listening, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. Hit the notification bell to select all to receive upcoming notifications. And if you would like to donate to the page, you can cash at me at the word welcome, the number 2, and then HDIITV. Thank you for listening, and we are out. Deezy.